Hey kiddos, this is your dad. I'm recording this for you guys, um, just so you can listen to it if I'm not around. This is something I wrote, over years, but the most recent version of it I wrote, I think, in July of 2012, and I had made some edits to it. I hadn't been able to really finish it, but it's continually out of date, continually being changed. This is what I called at the time conclusions and generalizations from living and fighting. And some of the stuff may be useful to you. Take a listen to it, read it. Mom or grandma or grandpa will have a copy of it if you can't get through to me. This also came from something I wrote when I was 17, when I was turning into what I called an adult or a man. I called it a covenant to myself originally, so this was kind of a more recent version of it. Okay, here goes. So some conclusions have kept on coming to me as I live my life. I have learned them, forgot them, and relearned them, only to forget them again. I had to write them down. I began doing this when I was 17 by writing a guide to action document. I'm still trying to live up to the commands of that first covenant to myself, but 10 years has added many new conclusions. The document below started as an attempt to update that original personal guide. In the writing, it ended up being more of an argument for my current worldview as of my 28th birthday. I'm 44 right now, reading this in 2024. I do not take ownership of these ideas. I have found them in the process of living and fighting from many sources. These are old ideas that, like us, are in continual motion. Purpose. So each of these has a little section, and the title of this section is called Purpose. The purpose of this personal document is to help guide my actions in the real world. And I suppose it's also maybe to help you guys. It shall be a record and a reminder of the lessons reality has taught me. It's a living document. It will adapt to the turns of the world, as shall I. It is ever unfinished, continually out of date. Next section, belief. How awesome the beauty and complexity of reality. It's hard to believe. Many events in our lives gives us pause. Where's the meaning behind it all? Properly, we focus on what remains unexplained, but we must not forget the lessons we have inherited from our ancestors. It has been the experience of humanity that what at first appears miraculous is in time explained. Where knowledge and experience are not able to explain, we are free to imagine, and we should imagine. That's how we have gotten this far. What you choose to believe really isn't so important. What's important is the impact of what you do with others in the real world. Pick those tools, those ideas that empower you to accomplish your goals. Next section, science. A collective and systematic approach to the knowledge humanity uncovers, science, is very useful. We are still very much at our mercy, but without science, we would be as powerless before nature as all other animals. We wouldn't have lights, trains, medicines. We wouldn't even have homes or farms. To abandon our advances in agriculture and try to go back to hunter-gatherer society would be to condemn billions to starvation. We would still be huddling in fear of the cold and darkness, perplexed and confused as to why such meaningful events, such as floods or good harvests, deaths or births, occur seemingly without reason. There is no going back, only forward. As useful as science is, even when it has been internally consistent, the history of science has shown that the most basic perceptions and assumptions underpinning our understanding of reality has always been incomplete. From Aristotle to Copernicus to Galileo to Kepler to Newton to Einstein to today, we have in each moment been simultaneously very right and very, very wrong. As we dare to step forward and help to add to the continuity of human exploration, we will continue to be wrong. Science has no absolute ground, nothing so firm as to forever lay its roots upon and be judged immutable, unchanging. But this continually unsettling insecurity is a great source of joy. What would we do if we really knew it all? How boring! Science needs no absolute for it to be useful to us. Its utility comes in practice. If it works, we use it. Next section, revolution. The most consistent truth is motion. The most basic law of the universe is change. Nothing yet observed contradicts this. Even the law itself exists in human minds, themselves ever thinking and changing. When you look close, nothing stays the same. The solid wooden table in front of you may not have moved much since before you were born, but it is actually constantly in motion on a molecular, atomic, and subatomic level. Your great-grandfather may have crafted it from lumber cut from a living, growing tree. Your children may one day transform the table into carbon, oxygen, gas, and ash in exchange for a warm, bright evening. As we are part of nature, human society follows her laws. Civilization is in a constant state of motion. If you think you are doing well as things are, this may be unsettling. You can try to fight change, try to slow it down, believe what you will, but you cannot stop change. The greater pressure towards change, the stronger, more sophisticated and violent must be the forces holding it back. Even if opposition is initially overcome, great reaction to that change will occur until it too is overcome. Over time, great pressures build up in opposition to all that hold motion back. These are the moments when great revolutionary outbursts occur. In these times, the contradictions between such powerful opposing forces produce the most beautiful art, the most horrid events, and the most amazing human lives. It is such a privilege and a responsibility to be alive in such historic moments. Only that which is really revolutionary, in practice and in consequence, continues to grow and blossom. All else, from social and economic systems to organizations and groups to individual human lives, follow the trends of their surroundings, of the overall epoch each exists within. Like all human society, indeed all of nature, you will either grow or decay. You either move forward or you move backwards. There is no standing still. In a crumbling epoch, the child is so much more beautiful than is the adult. The longer we live without overcoming decay, the uglier, the more cynical, the more inhuman we become. The greater our lives are attached to reaction against change, from defense of material privilege to fear of loss of social status, the uglier our actions and our lives become. The only alternative is to tear down institutions of resistance to change and help build positive alternatives. The only alternative to decay is revolution. Next section. Philosophy. Our strategies for living well. Our philosophy has developed alongside the expanding boundaries of our understanding of reality. As our understanding has changed, so too has our strategies for living well. For tens of thousands of years, human activity has uncovered truth in more directions than we could dream. While the cosmos may not have fundamentally changed in the short time we have been observing and pondering it, our awareness of the universe and our place within it certainly has. The local watering hole became the savanna. The river and coast cities became a flat earth bounded by the ends of the seas. Our planet moved from the center to the periphery of the universe. To live just a little better, to make a better life for our children, we have looked from the stars to the microbes within our hands. Yet we have just begun to discover just how deep is the complexity of reality. There is so much more that awaits our discovery. Variability. The principal method by which life has continued through the turbulence of natural history, all the drastic changes we have survived, from climate change over eons to sudden meteorites, has been our rich diversity. One set of traits may work for millions of years and dominate the planet like huge dinosaurs, but if there isn't a few weird exceptions around during times of great change, like our little mice-like mammal ancestors, then everything may be lost. Life has evolved, out of necessity, to tolerate wild exceptions and encourage imperfection. We did not only evolve chemically or in competition against other individuals. We also evolved as a tribe and as a species. Even if we ourselves did not live to produce offspring, we might pass our individuality on through the community. This is why we find so much pleasure from helping others. Individuals vary in all directions, from shape and size to consumption and metabolism to aggressiveness and modesty, etc. Different abilities and skills match the changing needs of the community. As we developed on the savannah over millions of years, at times we may have needed the brave and energetic warrior to catch a meal to help defend the tribe. Later, when times are leaner, we may have relied on the thoughtful stash of the gatherer. It may be best most of the time to be conservative towards things we are not accustomed to, but once in a while it's good to have a few fools to go explore for new food or water sources. Most of them may have died trying new berries or climbing over mountains and not coming back, but a few that survived helped us explore our way out of Africa and eventually all over the world. From the perspective of the community, it is often better to have many different specialists than to have everyone of similar ability. But this makes us unbalanced as individuals. We need each other to round us out. We are interdependent social animals. It is the special joy of the human condition that we are weak. It drives us to need and love each other. Humans are imperfect because life is variable. Do not be ashamed of your imperfection. It is your principal source of strength, your connection to the variability of life. Do not hide your weakness or cover over your mistakes. Fight to make yourself strong and embrace those weaknesses you are unable to address as strengths in your comrades. Individually, we are unbalanced, fragile, and momentary. Together, we are powerful, robust, and enduring. Perspective. Looking around, a lot seems mysterious. This is because we miss most of what's going on behind the scenes. The world we can directly sense is not the only one that affects us. Over millions of years, our senses have evolved to help accomplish the principal task of life, to continue. We are really good at finding food and mates, not so good at finding molecules and galaxies. Despite this, we've managed to figure this much out. The universe is really big. It has been around for a long time. There is stuff a lot bigger and a lot smaller than us. Change occurs far faster than we can perceive and over much longer periods than our own lifetimes. This goes a long way to explaining things, but we didn't always know it. We are still learning. A lot goes on between the blinking of an eye. The light that fills the room seemingly instantaneously is actually just really, really fast. Light travels, well, at the speed of light. This is so much faster than you can think. That is why you can see things nearly in motion nearly as they are rather than in delay, like sound trailing an airplane. This is why a motion picture is really just a series of static images switched so fast that your brain is fooled into thinking it is looking at moving objects. Imagine how small light has to be to provide such fine detail of things for such long distances like the other side of the galaxy. And light is not just some idea in your head. Individual light quanta actually travel from our local star, the sun, to your retina. From your retina, electrical impulses connect the synapses of your brain, each connection taking a fraction of a second. Yet you are so slow you can't even see the flapping wings of a fly, never mind catch them. Objects we are accustomed to dealing with are trillions of times larger than the smallest things we have discovered. A cold virus, for example, is a tiny fraction the size of your fingernail. An electron in orbit around an atom is a tiny fraction of the size of that nasty cold virus, and things get a lot smaller. We live within and approach reality from a human scale that is dwarfed trillions of times over by the scale of the cosmos. The universe, as we currently perceive it, is 1.5 to another 10 kilometers across. Can this even be measured? It may yet be a lot larger, and it may encompass much that we have not yet perceived. Currently, we understand the universe to be about 14 billion years old. We may be much, much more ancient than that figure. Our individual lives are so short in comparison, we have to keep learning the lessons of previous generations. Next section, evolution. Change over time, evolution is a powerful and encompassing theory. As a tool, as a general method, it can begin to explain much more than the origin of species. You may approach an understanding of a moment as that which remains after a process of competition, death, and rebirth. But ideas do not exist outside of social reality. Ideas reflect social forces and power. To argue that things have not always been as they are today is to openly battle those few who like things as they are and wish to keep them that way. If you are to follow your convictions, evolutionary theory becomes revolutionary practice. No wonder Darwin was afraid to publish. No wonder such violent reaction to the power of this idea continues to this day. Humanity. Life as we see it today is almost 4 billion years in the making. There has been a lot of trial and error in that time. Out of the countless failures, what remained from the turbulence of natural history, life as we know it today, is what worked, those few that survived. Principally, this is what explains how and why we are so amazing. You may ask, why should we be so lucky? Well, the great majority has not been so fortunate, but they're not here to count their blessings. In any case, if we weren't so lucky, who would be asking questions? Homo sapiens represent a qualitative jump in the evolution of life and matter. However, almost every individual characteristic that one may point to as unique to humans, from tool use to memory to emotions to awareness, is found in different forms elsewhere in nature. Does a dog or a cat not feel or plan or manipulate its surroundings? We are an amalgam of traits inherited from our animal ancestors over hundreds of millions of years. These traits have further developed and specialized during almost 10 million years of human hominid evolution. From these ancient biological beginnings, only 10,000 years ago or so, a truly novel phenomena developed: culture and human civilization. Now, not just our bodily traits, but also our collected knowledge as well as our ancestors' impact on nature, farms and buildings, for example, are passed down from generation to generation. Unlike most other animals at birth, we don't have to start from scratch. We have history and civilization to help guide us. Whatever we may accomplish as individuals or as a community, we do so with heavy debt to the history of human activity. However cool or smart or powerful you think you are individually, remember you are nothing without humanity. Where would you get your food? Who taught you all those useful ideas? Where do they come from? Did you just make them up yourself? We are formed by our friends, our family, our teachers, our community. We have been formed in a particular moment in human history. We make use of all the mental and material ground our ancestors unearthed for us. We have the same responsibility to future generations. We must be citizens of time. We are so very special, every one of us. From the most physically disabled to the most socially downtrodden, we're all part of something truly great. We are humanity. We are the consciousness of matter. We are nature's majesty. In all of the vast emptiness of space, we may be unique, alone. We really are that special, that amazing. Humanity may one day move stars, reorder galaxies, and bring meaning to the universe, if we so choose, if, together, we are convinced it is moral to do so. But our potential may never be realized, and our grandeur may never be repeated. We have made it this far, but that does not guarantee we will continue. There is no plan, no destiny other than the ones we may decide upon. If we don't actively save ourselves, nobody else will. If we are unable to pull ourselves out of the historical trap we currently find ourselves, no one will care. No one will be there to cry. Perseverance. Just like nature, human activity has its momentum. It is very difficult to direct your life in opposition to the direction others are going. It is very difficult to speak up when you feel that you are alone, when nobody has spoken up before. But if you are to follow your convictions, if you are to do what you know is right, then you must stand up and speak out. If you and your friends are really correct, if what you say and do is really what others are thinking but too afraid to say or do themselves, then just a few voices in a crowd, just a few million of our billions, we may change the mood of our neighborhood meeting. We may yet turn back the momentum of history. We will make mistakes. We will make a fool of ourselves. We will look silly. We will fail. We will fail. We will learn. We will fall down and it will hurt bad. We will get up. We will be knocked down again. We will get up, stand up, and fight back. If you aren't failing, then you aren't trying. If you aren't struggling, then you aren't living. You aren't really being human. You simply exist. Life is a fight. If you aren't fighting, what's the point? Emotion. Emotion is how the body communicates with its conscious parts. Listen to your emotions as they point to frictions between opposing forces within and around you. Emotions mark the sources of contradictions. Contradictions are the fault lines of change. Human consciousness, a relatively new thing, has been a powerful force towards our young species' success, but our minds are still more animal than human. We cannot function without our ancient animal inheritances. Most of our daily actions, such as breathing or sensing our surroundings, are unconscious and automatic. Many of these traits were first developed hundreds of millions of years ago. Tried and tried again, our animal inheritance is that which has been proven to work. Just look at how similar we are to other animals, most of whom have been around far longer than we. Even higher human brain function is dependent on ancient ways of thinking. Conscious intention is but a small part of the overall thought-action process. For example, as much as the content has been consciously prepared, I know I am feeling my way through the art of actually writing and communicating these ideas. Listen to your body. It will tell you if you are going in the right direction. Joy, sadness, pride, and loneliness are some of the signals directing you towards the body's goal, the continuation of the community. The community itself will also guide you. From a frown to fame, the tribe forms its individuals to fit its needs. When it comes to the important things, eating, reproducing, and staying out of danger, the body often steps in, especially if you have to think fast. Fear, desire, hunger, thirst, pain, and pleasure are some of the tools the body uses to communicate to its conscious parts in moments such as these. The body can be quite forceful, sometimes taking complete control. However, over time, the body may begin to trust its conscious parts. For your part, it is often best to let go, as the unconscious parts of you are better at many things, from kicking a ball to feeling what is right. With practice, you may learn which parts of you best accomplish different tasks. It is often a complex combination of feeling and conscious intention. Ideas. It has been useful here to split the body from the mind, or the unconscious from the conscious. However, these artificial concepts simply describe parts of a whole that are not actually separate. Necessarily, we categorize and simplify things in order to understand, talk about, and act upon real objects. Concepts, and ideas more generally, are the tools we use to navigate our way through complexity. Physically, ideas actually exist in human brains. Other than in our imagination, we have found no separate world of the mind or spirit. That's okay. Plain old material reality is plenty big and amazing place. We have just begun to discover or uncover its grandeur. Surroundings. The concept of the individual is a useful illusion. You are really everything. The air you breathe, the food you eat. When is it you, and when is it your surroundings? Just when, exactly, were you your mother? When did you become you? When the umbilical cord was cut? When a ball of cells transformed into little hands and little feet? When you were a lustful thought on your father's mind? You stand today as continuity back to the first life forms billions of years ago. They are your ancestors. The molecules in your cells have been formed and reformed billions of times over. You are the latest moment in the motion of nature. Where you are at, what is around you, what the weather is outside, how far in the distance you may see, who is interacting with you, your relative state of motion, what sounds and smells surround you, how physically active you are, what food you have eaten. These, as much as your internal biology and life history, influence what emotions you may feel, what thoughts you may come to, what conclusions you draw, what actions you take. Be mindful of your surroundings. You are your surroundings. Freedom. Yet, our lives are not wholly determined, at least not from our perspective. As powerful as our methods and tools of investigation may become, we may never know exactly why we do the things we do. What remains a mystery is what we call luck, or choice. Socially, we are properly held responsible for actions we freely choose to take. However, whether we choose to do something or we are forced by our surroundings is a matter of analysis and judgment. Be cheerful that the community judges you, sometimes falsely, responsible for your actions. Without responsibility, there are no choices. Without choices, there is no freedom. Honesty. Honesty is a powerful idea indeed. If you let go of your pride, if you are truly open and honest towards others, you will rarely suffer loneliness, hunger, or from the elements. The drive to help others is as powerful in our species as is the drive to reproduce. We evolved to help each other survive and prosper. Do not hide your weaknesses. It is the special joy of the human condition that we are weak, that we fight to make ourselves strong and embrace those weaknesses we are unable to address as strengths in our comrades. We did not only evolve in isolated competition, we also evolved as a tribe. We are interdependent social animals. Individually, we are unbalanced, fragile, and momentary. Together, we are powerful, robust, and enduring. Be so open about your deficiencies that people will understand why they occur and will be able to prepare for them in the future. If you isolate or hide yourself, it is easier for others to conclude that you are acting maliciously or have presented a false view of what you're capable of. Be careful not to promise what you cannot accomplish, nor give your word upon actions that are not of great import. Your word is your bond. Have nothing to hide. If you do, get it out in the open so as to free yourself of the burden. I am human. I fail. I sin. I err. Why should you hide your greatest source of pride, your imperfection, your humanity? Own up to your mistakes. If you must truthfully tell of what you have done, then you will begin to consider future actions with the wisdom of the community. Opening yourself up will help you to be honest. Lies and self-deception become untenable in the face of open interaction with others. Yet no one need look over your shoulder. The point of honesty is to improve yourself and to help get things done. You need not bring attention to your actions. Good deeds have their own merit and utility. This above all, to thine own self be true. Morality. Morality is much more than what is right and wrong, much less a static list of what you should or should not do. Morality is continually recreated and rejudged by human beings. At its base, morality is the collective interest of humanity. This is not some mathematical mean or litany of common beliefs. It is where we wish to go, what we want to do. The complexity of humanity's interest may be approached as need and desire in motion, as a direction. We discover what is right or wrong, what works or does not work, as we interact with reality. This is true individually and also collectively over the history of humanity. Personal morality is really judged publicly through the consequences of your actions. Whether an idea or action is moral may be judged by what comes of it. Biased in our intention towards the future, we look back and judge without a complete understanding of the past. Yet there is no alternative to the incompleteness or inaccuracy of our judgments. There is no freedom under absolute morality. Looking towards the future as we try to judge the morality of our choices, we cannot know the precise consequence of action before the fact. Yet uncertainty does not justify an action. If we are to make change, positive change, we must act in the absence of prescient ability. We can only hope that we are judged to have tried our best. Harm no one, directly or indirectly, through action or inaction, unless hurting others really leads towards goals that it will be judged as moral, as in the interest of humanity. Violence, as well as deception, may be justified only in such actions that really lead towards moral goals. This is rare, dangerous, and difficult to judge beforehand. Use these perilous tools with great caution and distaste, for the long-term impact of your actions may not be immediately clear. How you and your comrades are perceived can be crucial beyond the expediency of your tactics. It may be correct to accept temporary defeat rather than trying to win at all costs. Defend your honor by fighting from moral high ground. It is not that these perceptions are valuable in themselves. They help you earn the trust of others. Trust is so very precious. It allows us to work together to get things done. You are responsible for what you know. So long as you are aware of an option, no matter how difficult it is to take, you may be held responsible for your failure to make that choice. You must do what you know is right, even if you will suffer as consequence. Break with your long-time friends or family if you must. If they truly love you, they will respect your principles. Give up positions of wrongful or hurtful authority. Yes, others may do wrong in your place, especially if you do not speak up, if you leave in silence, but they will likely be less competent or experienced than you. Refuse to be paid to do what you know is wrong. Human beings are more important than money, power, or social rank. If standing up for what is right threatens to harm those dependent on you, openly ask for the support of the community. Do not give up quietly. Stand up and speak out. My family is being harmed because we have chosen to do right. Please help us. There is no greater protection than that which the community may provide. Meaning. Objectively, our actions have no meaning. In fact, nothing has objective meaning at all, for meaning presupposes a subject. Without thinking, feeling, biased observers, reality is but a blank canvas. It simply exists. All meaning that we know of emanates from human beings. We hold a monopoly on the creation and judgment of meaning. No wonder you should feel meaningless if you try to examine yourself objectively. You are particularly vulnerable if you isolate yourself from humanity, the source of what you are looking for. Meaning is right underneath your nose, so to speak. No wonder direct social interaction is the source of so many strong feelings, good and bad. All else, from objects of luxury to entertainment machines to virtual reality to mind-altering chemicals that leave you feeling like you are wasting your life suckling on the nipple of meaningless addictive nothingness, are just so many surrogates for the real thing. Remember this: if you start to feel sad, if you begin to feel that nothing matters, then come back to us. Come back home. Extend your sense of self, your ego, towards all that you are a part of, and in particular to all other human beings. Love. Immerse yourself in the very source of joy, meaning, and all that is judged to be good, humanity. All right, kiddos, I hope that was worth listening to, and hope you got a few things out of it. I love you guys.